Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I'm a professional intuitive empath. I have a quick message for you. I don't know. I say it's quick. You guys know how that will go. People come into your life, empath, a lot of you empaths out there, and they fall in love with you, or they care about you. They're infatuated with you. And I would dare say they fall in love with you, you know, no matter what the configuration is of the relationship. You guys have attracted people into your life, people that looked at you, longed for you, wanted to be in your energy, in your orbit for whatever reason. They might even been dispatched to you. You might have been dispatched to them. You could give them the moniker of soulmate, friend, lover, whatever, right? But I had this happen in my own personal life, but I also watch what happened with you guys when I'm counseling you. People that are going through marriages that are dissolving, people that are in the beginning stages of connections, and they're like, what is happening here? Why does this not feel right? People come in and they're attracted to you, and then they get in and they immediately start to pick you apart. And you're like, what is happening? How did it go from such idealization to now devaluation? And these people that are doing it may not all be narcissists. Maybe some of you guys have actually genuinely run into narcissists. And guys, I'm going to ask you to bear with me. I'm getting ready for a procedure here in the next 12 hours, and I have been on nothing but liquid water for the last couple of days. So if there's any noises you hear, it's burping. But if there's any noises you hear, I cannot control. My stomach is just talking loud. You might even hear my stomach. All right. So here's what I want you to understand, though. People come in and they have coveted your energy or wanted it, longed for it, manifested you. They have brought you into their orbit. You have brought them into your orbit, because here's the thing about anybody that comes into our life, we invite them. So whether it's an energy vampire, a fantastic soulmate, the best bestie, whatever the case may be, you have invited in energy. So I want you guys to be accountable for that. And that's one of the first things we have to do if we're recovering from our codependency and people pleasing, is to be accountable to how we've allowed situations to happen, good, bad, or indifferent, right? But this was a phenomenon that shook me. And for the last couple of years, I've been really writing about how does this go from someone that's like, I absolutely adore you. You're better in person than you are, in my imagination. I called you in. We have a destiny. You guys have heard me make various videos about various situations in my life. And then and when I say as soon as they are proximal to me, then they start picking me apart. And what's interesting, and maybe you guys can relate to this, is that it's in ways that I would never do it to them. Because empath, you all know, we are consummately sensitive and caring about other people's feelings. That's our whole shtick, right? We are not trying to hurt anybody. Even if we're making observations, and in my human design, that happens to be what I do very surgically. I observe a lot about people. I observe things about people that could change their life, or things that are a detriment to their life. And that's what makes me good at what I do. But I'm observing things, but I'm never, when I say never, just volunteering all of that unless I feel calm enough and there's some groundwork laid and there's familiarity and there is trust built. And then, of course, if it comes and I'm channeling something, maybe I'll offer things that are happening and I'll try to give the best insight that I can. But I noticed this happen with me over and over again. People were absolutely beside themselves to be close to me. They get there, and then little by little, there's all these little things that they're picking out, and they're kind of picking on nitpicky things, maybe not big things, maybe things to them that were alarming. You know what they say, never meet your idols, right? Because we're all human. That's why I hate all of that idolatry, because at the end of the day, you and I are all the same people. And what I mean by you and I, I'm saying celebrities are the same people. They have all of their foibles and idiosyncrasies. Your favorite poet, like Maya Angelou was my favorite poet. She was a person who had her foibles and idiosyncrasies. your favorite politician, your favorite actor, actress, sports person. Everyone's human. We're all putting our pants and our skirts and our blouses on the same way. We all have the same color blood. We are all learning here on this earth ball together. And so when we start to like put someone on a pedestal, and while we can do that in various ways, but like when we're like, oh my gosh, they're so much better, then we bring them in, and then they could be disappointing because we're humans. You will be disappointed. We are all fallible. But what I've noticed is with my empaths from some of the letters that I got 3 letters today that had this theme in it. And I was like, I have to talk about this before the date is over. This is a real thing. And then I know because I've been working on it myself, and I've had it encountered with new soulmate connections and new people that came in, whether they were jinns, mermaids, or fairies. It happened over and over again. And I was like, I would never offer the level of criticism that you guys felt very comfortable levying to me, to you, about things. And could I? Of course. But what would it do, really? And I was like, so am I this bad? Or is it that this person didn't actually care about me, or wasn't really attracted to me, or wasn't infatuated or in love, or whatever the thing that you want to put on it? And what my angels helped me to understand, I also was talking to some metaphysical friends about this as well. What they helped me to understand, I'm so grateful. I have a group of metaphysical folks that do this work, and I was able to chat with someone who's like in her 70s, and she just we were just volleying it back and forth. My Gemini rising needs that kind of volley in order to process, and one of the things that came to the surface of that conversation was that no, those people definitely had those feelings about you, but what it is most of them, not all of them, but most of them maybe wanted to be like you. Dun, dun, dun. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, empaths. Understand that. That was such a game changer for me to really wrap my brain around, because I was like, how come you wanted to be here so bad, and then you got here, and then it was this and this and that, and it was like little picayune shit is what I would call it, like little nothings, maybe big things to them, but I was like, why are you picking me apart, friend? Why are you picking me apart, lover? Why are you picking me apart, soulmate? Why are you picking me apart? Fill in the blank, whatever your situation is. And it was peculiar to me, and again, not everyone's a narcissist, so I had to really go deep and figure out why that is. And that answer from that wise crone, sage crone energy archetype that spoke with me helped me to understand so clearly that that's why that happens. Because people may really be drawn to your light and pulled in and are infatuated, do feel like they could fall in love with you, but upon being given the fullness of your reality, it wasn't actually you that they were into, it was your identity. Yay. Think about that. I'm so careful when I share my energy with people that they have some level of their own identity and signature, their own individualism, even if they're not aware of it, and I can help point them in the direction on how to shape their persona better. That's something that I will definitely do, but I don't want their persona to be my persona, because I am not you, they are not them, I am not she, you know what I mean? That energy. Now, a lot of us, we're all grown-up kids, right? We're all doing inner child work. She copied me, they copied me, he copied me, yeah? Well, what do they say? Imitation is the highest form of flattery. Yes, perhaps. But empaths, how many of us have had to guard ourselves because people were like clawing at our back to get our energy, and then pretending like they didn't want our energy, and maybe making fun of us and picking us apart and projecting and trying to cause all kinds of complexes and idiosyncrasies, only to gaslight us out of our very magical energy if we're not careful. I'm highly alert and highly attuned to what I give out to people, whether they want to pick me apart and be picayune and simple or not. And it's because I know not just my value and my worth, but I know that in me is something that they wish they have got, or had gotten to, or that they want to replicate. Sometimes people come into our life to teach us things, and they're not supposed to stay. Like, I've had narcissists, and this is an example that stood out to me, that she was fantastic with fashion jewelry, and she was fantastic with certain degrees of fashion. And while she was an atrocious human that I cut out of my life many years ago, She taught me something that I needed to know that helped me to facilitate the persona that I embodied. It wasn't that I copied that, I found my own style, what worked for me, but I always credit that narcissist actually for having fantastic taste in beautiful fashion jewelry and teaching me the merit of picking out a classic piece that you will wear for years. Literally, I'm getting ready to travel here shortly, and I am picking out a scarf as I was going through to see what I was going to wear. And it's a piece that I purchased when we were in our spiritual soulmated lesson. Not so fun when it's narcissism, but nevertheless, I have to give credence to what it was. I'm not calling her up and saying, thank you, I still have that scarf, crazy girl. But I thought of her and how she changed my world in a small way. So that's an example of, she had her own signature style. I couldn't copy it, but I certainly turned it into something that was for me. I also learned some really valuable lessons about symmetry and fashion jewelry. I know it seems like a simple thing, but people come into our life and they offer us these different little nuggets, and we can take them in and create who our authentic soul is. I think of Norma Jean to Marilyn Monroe and the story arc of that, how she fashioned herself into an icon, fashioned herself into a role model for some people regarding fashion and the carriage of herself and her femininity. But that started out as Norma Jean, someone that was very rarely seen, to Marilyn Monroe, someone we all now still to this day know, years and years after her passing. So what I want you to understand is that copying or being inspired by someone and what they're doing and creating is exactly our human condition. It is what we do. We hear people make covers of music. I think of Eniko, and how many people cover Eniko, this artist who has now just blown up in so many ways, and people make covers because the music that Eniko made was inspiring. It was different. It was ethereal. It touched our souls. So people want to be like Eniko. Maybe they cannot write like she does, or channel like she does, or sing like she does, but they put their spin on it, they do edit, and they offer it to the world. Does that make sense? There's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of us have people that want deeply into our lives, but don't really have our back, or get in and then start to weirdly attack. When I'm faced with that, I start to wonder what's really going on here. But that's why I want to bring this message to you and make it very clear. Yes, they did feel whatever they felt that brought them there. Yes, they were attracted to you in a certain way. Yes, they were into you, in love with you, whatever you want to say, whatever your situation is. But they may not see. The thing that we spend a lot of time doing is figuring out where we end and someone else begins, because that's how you heal your codependency. So people that are attracted to empaths definitely can see that we have codependency or people-pleasing tendencies. They might be attracted to that. They might be attracted to our grandiosity if you traffic in that, or your humility if you traffic in that. Whatever your riz, as the kids say, whatever your riz is, they are attracted to it. But really, a lot of them that do not have identities of their own are attracted to what you bring, and they want to embody your soul and make it their home. It's parasitic. It's not necessarily symbiotic. It is not necessarily something that is going to be nourishing and up-leveling. You have to be very careful of that. So if you've ever had that situation where someone that you let in then almost immediately began to pick apart and attack and start to point things out, and it's like, would I do this to you? I would never ever. And I don't. It's always so peculiar to me when I've held people accountable and been like, do you realize that this is how you were speaking to me? Do you realize that you had all of this to say, but you only wanted to be my friend, lover, connection, person, partner in whatever way, went out of your way. Some people, like you guys heard me make that video about that really toxic person who was like the jinn archetype, meaning like a genie archetype. Not that she was granting any wishes, she was a trickster. But the thing about it was that she spent 2 years asking me to become her friend. 2 full real years, not an exaggeration whatsoever. And within 2 months of allowing her in, she was a nightmare disaster, so quickly a nightmare disaster that I immediately cut her out within 2 months. But that devaluation started. She may have had some narcissism and other stuff, but I've had that happen even with people that don't. They want so badly to be connected to me, I allow it, and then I'm like, okay, let's play. This is the destiny. This is the trajectory. Where can we go? Let's up level. And then immediately actually, that's not what they wanted at all from me. It's so fascinating. But because I got these 3 letters today from you guys, thank you, thank you, thank you for each of you that wrote. If you're listening and you're talking about this phenomena, I thought, oh my gosh, I love when the universe makes it such a clear lesson that I can't even ignore it, because I have had it happen in the last couple of years several times. And I'm like, what, how did I get here? How did I get here? And that's why boundaries matter, because then you can quickly shut that out and be like, okay. Also, guys, I want you to understand that you deserve to have exactly what you want. You know, in my last video, I talked about waiting for my Cinderella or Cinderfella. What that means is that I have wanted and called in, and I'm not trying to make it happen anymore. Before, it used to be manifestations and it used to be on vision boards. All of that is donezo. That doesn't mean that those things don't work in their own right. But now the way that my spirituality has moved in a different upward level, it's that nothing I do as a human can make a relationship right. If someone is not invested, and if someone is not really willing to sign the soulmate contract and play full out the same way I'm playing, I remove my energy to a certain degree, if not completely. Think of Versace, Gucci, and I just say, okay, I will allow whatever is next to come to me. That is very different than the energy that I trafficked in, and some of you guys have trafficked in from your letters and communications with me about holding on so tightly to people out of our codependency that hadn't healed, hoping to make them into the person that we wanted them to be. God knows how to give me the big reveal. God knows exactly what my Cinderella or the soulmate connection is that I'm looking like, that won't have second guesses, that isn't going to come in and then immediately start to pick me apart and point out things that they don't like, when I would never do that, because I never want to hurt their heart unless I was called to help them up level and do my part in that way. But even upon being called to do that, I still make assessments and I lay low to see exactly how I can play a healthy part so that they can elevate. It's not just to demolish, because I don't want to be the people that come into my life. I may have admirable things that I see in them. I may see that they bring something to the world. I may be able to, as they say, put a battery in their back and wind them up and point them in the right direction of their calling and destiny. But I'm very, very happy being me. And empath, I want you to be really happy being you, because the happier you are being you, the more that your dreams of whatever connections you've been manifesting will come true without effort. When we hear about salmon swimming upstream, it's this incredible thing that they do. And then we hear about going with the flow when we're talking about manifestation. How do you bring the thing to you? And I was definitely a salmon swimming upstream, absolutely determined. Mercury girl, y'all, you hear me? Mercury retrograde, got him. Mercury has got me so many times in this last couple weeks. Listen, I was absolutely a salmon swimming upstream. Say that 7 times fast. And I was always working so hard for these relationships. I gotta make it work. I gotta make you see my worth. Fuck it. I'm so exhausted with that. My body massive attacked me and said, girl, get back. You don't know me like that. Meaning, you're not listening to me. We don't want to be fighting and clamoring for all of these relationships. We will send you in exactly what's right for you when it's your destiny. And that's what I want to pass along to you too. So even if you have people come in and they're picking you apart, and that's what you tuned in for the video for, understand that they want more than just a piece of your heart. Take it. They want the whole thing for some reason. And they also don't want you to feel as good about yourself, because they may not be able to compartmentalize in their own selves why you like yourself so much. And so people will come in with these weird agendas that they may not even be cognizant of to make you feel less than. So if you find yourself second guessing yourself in the presence of someone that you may have thought was fucking wonderful, and it happens pretty quickly, then what shifted is not that they weren't attracted to you, is that they weren't secure and solidified in their identity. That's a message. That's a channeled message. That's not even from me. That's through me to you, conduit style. That's what you need to understand. They're looking at your life. They're like, man, I would like to have some of this. I would like to be some of this. They may not want to exactly be you, but the problem is they're not solidified in the work that they're called to do. So then they will, kind of like a single white female you to a certain degree, and not just that it's about Caucasian people. That's a movie for those of you guys that don't know the reference. But in any case, that's something you need to know. But also a message here apparently about working so hard for relationships. If a relationship is right for you, it's going to help you grow. A karmic relationship will cause you to lose. Check your bank account, check your self-esteem, check your finances, check your health. Literally, you will start to lose when you are in the commonwealth of a simple karmic, okay? They will take people out of your life, they will isolate you, all kinds of wild shenanigans will happen. When you have someone that comes in to up-level you, it will up-level you, and it won't be so effort-filled. Guys, that's what I want you to understand. It'll be nice bouncing and exchange of energy, a nice flow, a nice reciprocal give and take. And they will not be picking you apart and trying to, your conscious take and your security and your self-esteem take little pieces, like little ants, like biting a piece off at a time. That's someone who's not secure in their mind. And they're like, this bright light over here, let's go, because that's where I get healed. Guys, we are the Aquarius card in the tarot is the star. It's associated with the Aquarius energy, which is light years ahead of its thought processes. It rules humanity. It rules aliens. It rules all of it. It rules receipts. It rules so many things. But the star card, it's a representation of a lighthouse, right? The archetype of the star card is someone who is so solidly grounded in themselves and in their own healing and in their own wisdom and eccentricity, because Aquarian energy rules eccentricity as well, and in their own identity, that they are a beacon sweeping the shoreline, bringing in the broken ships from sea to shore safely. That means you will have broken people arrive at your shores. Bring me your tired, your weathered, right? Isn't that what's said somewhere regarding how America was communicating to the world? You're downtrodden, you're beaten. We call in those people that are seeking, and they don't have rudders and masts that are in shape. Some part is dilapidated. A hit to the bow, the boat did take, and they still cobble or hobble themselves to our light, because that's what we emit, and that is what we are there to give them. That is why we are there, to give them an emotional break. But if you are not solid in yourself, a lighthouse doesn't move. It doesn't chomp out to sea and trample through the water and go bring the ships in. It holds its position and says, when you see the light sweeping the horizon, follow the light. It doesn't mean follow the light and every answer will be seen. It means I will get you to a shore where there is safety and you can start to build whatever your dream is. But don't let people siphon energy off you or start to pick you apart. Whenever it happens, it's so funny because people don't even realize that they're doing it. Sometimes there have been people that have been literally quite innocent, but then I understand that they're not solidified. I'm still diagnosing them. I don't say a word about it. I'm just observing, and I'm like, oh, I get why this is happening. You're still trying to figure out who you are, and that's okay. But trying to like pick apart what you see as wrong in me doesn't mean that it's not wrong, because that's one thing, for whatever reason, how my chart's set up. I always take feedback, even if it's constructive criticism that might break my heart or tear me apart or make me feel away. I say, what about this is true? Because that's my greatest growth, guys. When I freelanced for the psychic places, the clients could leave a review if I spoke to them for even 2 minutes. And one of the things, when I first got started and I was quite nervous, well, the feedback that I got was that I had asked people for their zodiac sign. And the person, like one of the clients that left a review for me, didn't give me 5 stars. She gave me 3, right? And she said, I did not like that she asked for that because I felt like she wasn't really reading me. I felt like she was reading my zodiac sign. So you know what that did for me? That constructive criticism that I didn't necessarily like, because it brought down my average, and I really prided myself on being 5-star rated, which I stayed for the most part, from that moment on. But what I will tell you is this: it helped me to read better because she wasn't wrong. Even people that are offering their deleterious observations of you may have, in fact, some truth in that, but don't allow it to be a repeated attack, because now that's where we're getting out of balance. That was a nugget of information I needed to enhance my reading style. And so what I did was I stopped asking people what their zodiac sign was completely. In fact, I got so good at it that people would say to me, do you want to know my sign? Do you want to know my person of interest's date of birth? I didn't want to know any of it. I tapped into my intuition. I dug in deeper, and I became an amazing reader. Not just because I said so, because it was statistically proven and it was reviewed as so. But it happened because someone criticized me and said, I don't think so. This girl needs to grow. She wasn't wrong. Sometimes people have something to offer you that will help you move along in a better way. But don't let people berate you and bring your self-esteem down because they want to be the echo chamber where you're only hearing what they have to say. And what they have to say is born of their own insecurities because they're looking at you accomplish and be things that they have not yet figured out how to do. And in some cases, some things that they will never figure out how to be. Actually, they're just kind of floating around trying to figure out their identity. And in your lighthouse, solid, grounded, anchored, with pylons driven in to the ground, they are out to sea, lost and trying to be found. And they will try to be found off your energy if you're not careful. So do not take offense if someone was desperately seeking to be close to you, manifested you, idolized you, was infatuated with you, thought about you, connected with you. And then when you're like, well, welcome in, have a seat, have some lemon tea cookies, sit a spell. Right? Lemon tea cookies. That's something from Maya Angelou, if you guys know. Her favorite teacher made her lemon tea cookies when she was like in second grade, and she was still mute at the time. It's before she had found her voice and taught us all why the caged bird sings. But come in, have some lemon tea cookies. Let me be your mentor. Let me be your friend, your lover, your soulmate, your spouse, your elevator, your whatever, right? Sometimes when you invite people in, they immediately resent it. They look around. It reminds me of what's written with Meghan and Harry. Harry, the book that he wrote, where he talks about going into his brother's house, which he'd been in a million times, so it was wild. I really feel like Meghan wrote the book. Now, Meghan dictated the book for sure, but he was like, we looked around at all of their nice things, and everything was so nice, and this is exactly the metaphor for this situation, guys. Pay attention. We were looking around, and we were like, oh my goodness, everything's so lovely, and then we were thinking about our IKEA couch that Meghan had bought on her credit card, and art that was like cobbled together while they had all this luxurious stuff. Well, the future king and queen to be would have nice stuff, but also Harry knew his brother had nice stuff. Another story, another video, another day. But that jealousy, do you guys see what happened? Even as it's like, do you have any self-awareness, sir? Even as he's reading and writing this, because he reads it too on audiobook, and so I've seen some of the clips that people have been spoofing, but even as he's reading this, and even as he wrote it, and even as he experienced it, I don't know how he didn't realize that what he was experiencing was jealousy. Really, what Meghan was experiencing was jealousy, and that's why the whole issue with Frogmore Cottage and all that stuff became a thing. If you study all of that stuff, you know, then you know. But what I'm telling you is this. William and Kate invited his brother and his new partner in before she was wife, and they said, have some lemon cookies and some tea. They were the light, but Meghan was absolutely jealous. That may not always be the situation that you have when you have people that are infatuated with you or like you or want to come and have. That's not always it. But in that case, very specifically, when you've dealt with the narcissist, that is it. They come in and they look at all of your nice stuff, and then they're like, oh my goodness, it's so nice in here. I just got my IKEA couch that I put together with no instructions back at our place, and it's dank and the ceilings are lower. These are real things that Harry said. They were making the comparison. Now, Harry always knew that his brother had bread, meaning so did he, money, access, and luxury. But y'all, talk about being associated with a lower vibration. Did Harry always walk in the house and feel that? Never. He was royalty himself, but he lowered his energy to be with this person that was steeped in her jealousy and was avaricious and a social climber. So she was comparing immediately. And I promise you on the ride home, because he says it in the book, all they talked about was how nice their house was compared to theirs. That's what happens when you let people in that don't have their own identity, guys. You may think like, yeah, I like my house. It's nice. It may not even be in your head that you're like, come into the opulence and the luxury. We're not assholes. Not all of us, right? we are assigned assholes, though, as empaths. But we are not all assholes. So we definitely are not just like, yes, it's luxurious in here. We do know, like, oh, there's that place over there that needs some paint. And, oh, I hope they don't look in the kitchen because I put the dirty dishes into the dishwasher. Like, we're all human doing the same shenanigans, yeah? But someone that's out to sea and that doesn't have the rudder rudder that steers anymore, and the mast has a bend in it, and everything is torn and tattered, and they've been out there for a while by themselves. They come in and they're like, it's so warm over here, look at that warm light, everything must be perfect in there, right? No, it's not perfect in here. We are humans that are all figuring it out every single day until we evaporate away and cross over into another life and another play. But people will see us sometimes, empaths, and think that we are these perfect beings, and we are absolutely not. And they will idolize us, and they will forget that our humanity is not to be forgot. And they will put us in positions. Y'all know it wouldn't be a session if I didn't have to plug up my phone. It just wouldn't. They will put us in positions, not a moment too soon ever, where we will have to fend off whatever the attack is to protect our own identity. You have to be very careful the people that you allow in. Be very, very careful, because especially if you notice that they pick you apart immediately and they're starting to not be as, I don't know, kind or gracious about the access that you've granted them finally, specifically I think of Versace, then what you will do is levy yourself or leave yourself open for a big attack where you will have to rebuild yourself back. Have we not been through enough trenches and paths to repeatedly do that? I won't even allow it anymore. I don't give a damn, and you hear me say it all the time, and I mean it. I wish you all could be inside of my personal life so that you could know I walk it like I talk it. I don't care how much I care about somebody. If I feel like something's off and I feel like, y'all, you don't like me as much as you think you do, or I thought you did, or whatever is happening, I just don't second guess it. I don't need empirical evidence. I don't need whatever. People get pissed at me all the time, because I am a harbinger of truth, even my own. Just like I said about that example with the places I used to freelance for. If someone tells me a truth and the truth is in it, then I pick it apart and I'm like, okay, what did they have to say? You know what? They weren't wrong. And how can I make myself improve and become better every day from that feedback? So even people that have picked me apart and done little simple attacks, I still, and even if they didn't see it as an attack, and maybe they saw it as just an observation, I would listen to my soul. Here, I would also, there's a place where you can flip over and know in your soul that it's gone beyond the pale, and like you start to feel like, and there's an insecurity that will creep in, and it's not yours. Because if you didn't feel that way the whole time, and the whole time they were like, I just can't wait to see you, meet you, be around you, and then they get there and then they're wild, that's not you. It doesn't mean that they're not observing things that you do. It does mean that there's a lack of stability within their own identity, and they are projecting and also wanting to siphon and vampirize off of you. Be very, very careful, okay? But take constructive criticism, guys. You're not above it, and that's how we get better. Any time that I've submitted something for writing and I got rejected for it, I would clean it up. I did need to edit. It did need to get better. There's always room for improvement in every area of our lives, especially in our relationships. But there's room for improvement, my sweet empaths that are listening, for you to open your eyes. Don't let people that begged you to be part of your life treat you like shit when they get in, because that has not a lot to do with you. It has a lot to do with them. Okay? I am not just repelling it for fuck's sake. I am repelling it because I have picked it apart and I've looked at it and I've investigated it surgically, and it's the truth. And I've waited with other wise sages that are older than me, that have lived longer, that have done this. And I've listened to you, these letters I got today, and the clients that I've worked with. And I've measured my own experiences, and I've documented it time and time again. And I had to ask myself again, where did the sidewalk end? Where did that person end, and where did I begin? And when we met, we were on this equal footing, or so I thought. But they had somehow put me in a different spot than them, which was above them to some degree. And so then if they were not filled with their own security and they were rife with insecurity, they would delight in pecking me apart, taking me down a peg or two. Who did you think you are? I've heard it from every spectrum and every color, because in my own life, I try to establish and set a bar. Many of you do the same. And that's intimidating to people that have not figured out the merit of their energy, the weight of their name, who they are, or their identity. They will definitely want to be around you, come to you, be your lover, want to be your lover, whatever they want, right? But really, they just want to get under the covers to see where the chink in the armory is. And there will be that. And that's why you have to be careful. Does that mean I will never have relationships and that I am not waiting happily for my Cinderella? What I mean by that is I'm waiting for a relationship that is right for me, energetically, connections and soulmates that I don't have to fight, that I don't have to be like, oh, I'm tired. I'm tired. Keep living. And then you will realize you don't have time for all of that. And also know your worth, because the universe has your back. I know what I offer. I also know where I'm bratty. I know where I have my own deficits. I know where I can be needy. I know where I can be people pleasing. I know who I am. But a person that loves you will love all of that and help you elevate. That's God's plan. It's not for you to be like desperately chasing after people and being like, can't you see how this can be magical? Fuck it. If you laid it out once or thrice, then they know it could be nice. And that's enough. That's enough. Have some self-respect for yourself, because God will send in exactly what is right for you, and it will not be so tough. When I talk about years ago leaving one friendship, I thought I would never get another one, and y'all have heard me talk about bestie. Doesn't mean that there wasn't work to do in that relationship, but I didn't have to fight for bestie. I didn't have to clamor for bestie. I didn't have to punch people. Bestie wasn't trying to steal my identity. Bestie definitely had her own interest in spirituality. My bestie is a brilliant medium, and she works with people that are crossed over. She does it beautifully. I consult with my bestie on things. You guys have heard me make a video with her once, but that has happened several times where if I have a client and it's above me and my depth of expertise, knowledge, and understanding, I'm like, what do you think about this? I had someone recently that was looking to buy a house, but it was haunted, and bestie called it, clocked it, and then when the person, even though she didn't listen to me, we advised, we talked about it, we triaged it, all that. The person went to look at the house. She was like, yo, I was so creeped out. Now, she didn't say yup, but she was like, I was so creeped out, Monette. I couldn't imagine having my daughters in this house. But that was because my bestie sussed that out. You know, she was fantastic and brilliant at that. So do you understand what I'm saying, guys? You can have people that are spiritually like you, that have similar giftings, but not exactly the same. Bestie does not want to do what I do. But red flag, Gucci Versace was trying to do what I do, even though that was not what she went to school for. That was not what her PhD was in. She was like, I want to be like you. She said that. I want to be like you. Why, ma'am? You spent all these years going to school. You're an educator. Be like you. You know, but she wanted my life or lifestyle as she thought it was. She did not know how hard it was to get here, and how no one believed, and how there was no blueprint, and how there was nothing that was made clear, and I had to walk by faith. Do not covet someone else's life, guys. You do not know what their plights were in the quiet and the dead of the night. But in any case, she was not grounded in her identity, even though she'd spent years, she was older than me, cultivating that identity, actually. So it was very easy for her to have bitterness and frustration and jealousy. And she begged to be in and made a really splashy entree in. And pretty immediately my instinct said, ooh, we cannot do this again, because I recognized the archetype of her bad behavior in previous narcissistic energies and previous tricksters and jinns that I had encountered in my life that had only begged to be so close, only not to treat me right. And even if it's less benign and less toxic, she was very malignant. I also had more benign energies, same existence though, of someone wanting in, getting in, and then being like this, and this. And I'm thinking, I would never say this to you. I would never do this to you. And I would never treat you this way unless I was called to help you elevate. The teacher in me is consummate. So in any case, please take that message for what it is for you. Stop working so hard for relationships. Let them come to you. People will always come to you. Always, 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 and forever. Years ago, when that was starting to be shown to me, people literally started to chase me. So it wasn't just like the lighthouse was gently beckoning in. Bestie can attest. People would literally chase me down in the street. They would chase me down in when we were in Paris. Like, people would like physically come and touch me. I started to realize my gift. And I didn't think anything about it. It wasn't like I thought I was so magical. In fact, sometimes it was embarrassing and it was hurtful, the way that people didn't mind my boundaries. Another message, develop boundaries. That can't happen now. It doesn't mean that people aren't attracted to me. It means that I don't just let people get that close to me, even proximally, even just like casually. But I'm talking more about our deeper relationships where we invite people in, the new person, the new bestie, the new friend, the new lover, the new spouse, the new sister, the new brother, whatever you got. Whatever you're inviting in, and if they start to get really weird with you after wanting that connection with you, then it's not that you're a crazy person. If it happens repeatedly, time and time again, pay attention. Maybe there's some pieces and nuggets you need to extract for growth for yourself, certainly. But more than likely, it's because they are not rooted and grounded in their identity. That's the message, okay? Stop chasing everybody. They are not rooted and grounded in their identity. And when you notice that, cut it off expeditiously, without question, okay? Some people you can do it nicer with. Some people you can slowly distance with. Some people you absolutely have to do it for your safety emotionally. So you don't get to negotiate with terrorists sometimes, okay? We never negotiate with terrorists. And the Jinn that I had in my life was a terrorist. That happened with the old friend of my life that was a narcissist of 20 years that you guys heard me talk about. She did not have her identity. She was just like a person that was like meandering from job to job and person to person. And I was really solidifying my identity. And she thought, you know what, I think I'll take this. This looks nice. This is for me. Well, it didn't fit her. She's not doing what I did now. She can't do what I did. She can't make what I made shake happen because it wasn't her gift. She had giftings. She had paranormal giftings, very similar to my bestie. My bestie is in the light with it, thank you Jesus, though, and actually works on it and cultivates it and thinks about it and it's not connected to me with it. Does that make sense? While we can utilize each other for a sounding board regarding things at times, and I can have her come in and be like, hey, bestie, I got this client. What do you think about this? Because I don't, people's family members come through to me, but I don't call myself a medium. It's not something that I'm practiced and versed in. It's just when I channel it, I get it, and I'm always happy to be helpful and of service, but she can like tap into it in a way that I tap into other things. Makes sense? But the other person in my life, because there's no one around me, usually, be careful guys, empaths, there is nobody around you that won't be trafficking in some level of spirituality. That is very important for me to feel fulfilled. So the other person had paranormal activities as well, but hers was super lower vibrational. She had her own giftings as well, but she wanted to be my giftings, very much like the Gucci Versace girl, which had, woman who had her own PhD, had her own or had her own doctorate, had her own degree, had her own stuff going for her. My life was built off of whimsy and hopes and dreams and some perseverance and stick-to-itiveness, as my mother would say. I was like, girl, you lived a good life and you created a really good thing. And even the friend of many, many years ago, I mean, I wouldn't want her life, but, she made it what it needed to be. And she made fun of me for making the life that I had. And then when she saw it working, she was like, I think I'll take that. No. That's another thing. Let me leave you with that. No one can ever take your birthright. No one can ever take your gift. Even if they copy it, they can only copy it. Because it reminds me of rappers when they say, if you think that you can make me, make another me. There is something that we all have, which is our individual signature and identity. It is our actual authenticity. And while someone may copy you for a while, as soon as I removed my energy from that wild child many years ago, that covert narcissist, then she couldn't do anything like me because I was the sauce. I was the recipe. Y'all just know who you are. But in my immaturity years ago, I was frantic and how could I let it go? And what should I do? And why did I know? It was just a mess. I think about how much wasted energy I put and how much stress. What is for me, this is a beautiful thing my mother has always said to me, what is for you will be for you. And it's what I remind myself. What is for me, I write it on my mirrors, I put it on Post-its. What is for me will be for me. Whether that's a certain somebody, whether that's an experience, whether that's an opportunity, whether that's a tax bracket. I had a CPA when I was broke because I knew I wasn't going to stay that way. So on the taxes and the IRS, I didn't want to play because I knew where Scorpio sat in my chart. I planned ahead because I knew that my manifestations, God, ancestors, and universe was going to do its part. Does that make sense, guys? What is for me will be for me. When I was making $10 an hour actually, and my CPA was kind of laughing and being like, girl, you here, we here. But every year she would say to me, my God, Monette, you doubled your income from last year. You tripled your income from last year. Until we got to wherever I needed to be. Oh, this year you're going to pay taxes, actually. That's what's happened. You leveled up. But I remember going in and her leveling with me, a Caucasian woman in her 60s that had worked at a yacht club for many years, that I was recommended to by a good friend, thank you, Terry, who had worked at the O'Galley Yacht Club. And she worked with me. and told me about how she was on welfare when she was in the 60s and 70s. And then she went and got all of her degrees and became this really, fantastic CPA, and then did her individual private practice, because I felt embarrassed. Yeah. Sometimes we forget what will be for us will be for us. I was like, here I am with my meager $10 an hour at this quote unquote corporate America job. And you're helping me do my taxes, and we're worried about what I'm going to get back. And every year she edified me and was like, girl, I don't know where you do it, how you do it. Well, I didn't know either, but what was for me was going to be for me. And no matter how much XDs and covert narcissists and haters and jinns and all of the tricksters of the world tried to take what was mine from me, they could not steal my authentic signature and identity. It is unique. Unique. It's one of the songs from Beyonce, Alien Superstar. That's a whole vibe, y'all. That's a whole vibe. Please listen to that. We all have our own signature. We are all superstars in our own way. I feel like it's very appropriate with Aquarius energy. Alien Superstar is a channeled message. It's something that I've been walking to when I'm out in the morning by the lake. I just like, yeah, champagne supernova. Yes, it's sexy. It's luxurious. The Taurus in my chart loves it. The Leo in my chart lives for it. And I relate, actually. But here's what I want to say to you. You are unique. You are your own person. No one else can be you. So if you have copiers or haters, and you know what I'm thinking about specifically, Natalie, if you listen to this, I think about the crazy narcissist that you dealt with in your family that was wild as a Taliban. She was jealous of your signature and identity. Sis, can you give me an amen over there where you're listening from? She was jealous. Natalie is a beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous model. She is Naomi. She is Naomi's offspring energetically, chocolate and magical and melanated. But what I'm telling you guys is a piece of her story. She has someone who hated and hated because she wanted to literally body snatch Natalie. She wanted to be in her position when she did not have the empathy and the kindness and the poise and the talent that Natalie was given. That's Natalie's. I can't go be Natalie. You can't go be Natalie. And that hating ass narcissistic family member couldn't be Natalie either. I rest my case. We are all given specific things that make our face light up, that give us grace, and people will see that and want to inhabit it. So if you've had someone fall in love with you, like you, be infatuated with you, and then they turn on you, it's not anything that you could have done or did do. It's something that was never properly done up in them. They do not know who they are, actually. It's never been a given. They're still experimenting, and they were experimenting in your energy. So be careful, guys. Yes, imitation is the highest form of flattery, but body snatching and energy siphoning is the quickest path to autoimmune deficiency. Can I get an amen, empath? All right, I love you guys so much. Thanks for sharing energy with me on this morning. Come back and join me next time, and we'll continue to evolve together.